Schenker, congratulations on a very long career as Westlake principal, and congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you.
So, what are you most proud of during your time as Westlake principal?
Oh man, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of. I mean, you guys would only know the last few years, but there's got a lot of change in Westlake. Go back 15 years ago. I won't get graphic. There were a lot of things going on in Westlake when I got there, in terms of not anything good going on in classrooms. There was a lot of, I would say, pretty bad behavior going on always. It was a little more of a wild place, and the faculty, although very skilled, the faculty were very, very reluctant. Right, to kind of do anything different or new because of the previous administration. Always fearing like someone was going to like write them up or something like that for trying something new or doing something that being out. Like you guys find it very normal to have a class out in the hallway, or you guys walking around with a video camera or doing whatever. Yeah. That was not like they would have been yelled at by the previous administration had they allowed any kids out of the room and there been any noise going on in the building. So I think the biggest thing, because there's a lot of individual things, right? But the biggest thing is really the change of culture, right? Because I think the most powerful thing that a principal can do is actually recreate the culture of a building to one where actually students enjoy coming. Like there's good camaraderie between students and between teachers, students, and administration. So creating that culture is probably the biggest thing. Even though, like I said, block schedule, like you can go to specific things that changed, teaching styles that changed, and block scheduling, and new programs and new course offerings. When I got there, there was eight AP courses offered at Westlake High School. There's 23 now. So just in terms of the options for kids, there was no CRA, there was no capstone program, there was no science research program, all those things. So those are specifics, but the biggest thing is culture.
What legacy do you hope to leave behind at Westlake?
That's a tough one.
I think probably the most important thing outside of specific, like I said, new things that were brought to the building is a legacy of encouraging teachers to actually always keep students in mind when they're designing what they're doing, when they're designing courses, when they're doing what they're doing, and actually continue to hope that teachers are going to do more and inventive things, like always take a risk, try a lesson. If it fails, it fails. Like if it works, great, do it again. And if not, go back and reinvent it, right? Do something new, do something different, but don't be afraid to give your students a chance to actually have some fun while learning.
Ready.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, go ahead. You want to start?
Chuck, you go first.
Okay, go ahead.
Can I just get an order of chocolate chip pancakes, please?
Sure. Have a few.
I can do an order of 2 scrambled eggs with wheat toast and maybe a Belgian waffle.
Home fries?
No thanks.
No potato? Have a few.
I'm gonna do the bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll.
Sure, how would you like it? Scrambled, over hard?
Over hard's good.
Over hard?
Yeah.
And have a few.
Can I just have 2 eggs scrambled with bacon?
What kind of toast? White rye whole wheat?
Yeah, white.
White?
Yeah.
Home fries?
No.
No potatoes either? Okay, sweetie.
Can I have a Belgian waffle, sausage, and extra crispy bacon?
That's for bacon and sausage, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 waffles. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So wheat toast, huh? Interesting.
I don't know. A
little healthy option there.
No, I think it tastes better. I think the white toast, when they drown in butter,
Apparently white bread's terrible for you. So.
Yeah, it is pretty bad for you. But if you rye is my next preferable toast over white. But you have to have eggs over easy though.
Yeah. Question where we at? Where we got interrupted there?
Yeah.
I think that was the legacy one.
Yeah.
So I think. So I think I got the answer in there, right?
Yeah.
A specific moment where you knew you wanted to retire?
So I could say that a year ago, I would say a year ago from Christmas time, I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, I was
I knew that I was approaching obviously the age and the years. If you look at the system, and we were at that point we were in the midst of signing contracts for the house we're building in Florida, and then that build happened a lot quicker because the builders down there, like when you sign down there, it's like, here's your date. Like, you can't tell them, yeah, build it in a couple of years.
Yeah.
So I think when that became more of reality, that the house actually was started, so they started building in like, I want to say they broke ground in like January, early February last year. And I think when that happened, I started thinking, you know what, first of all, am I going to want to carry 2 houses, right? 2 mortgages, that's a lot of money. And then secondary to that was maybe it's a good time to actually, after 32 years, maybe I start something new. Florida's a totally different, change from New York, right?
What advice would you give to the next principal?
So I think you have a couple kind of, I would say, competing ideas, right? One is to encourage and support teachers in their ventures of doing new things, doing different things, right? Is to keep an open mind to what's possible. There was an early lesson I learned in my administrative career, and it was actually taught to me by an older superintendent who I really respected, and he always talked about the power of yes. And you can, as an administrator, right, in a leadership position, or anybody, team captain, class president, you can always have someone come to you with an idea and you can say no, right? And you immediately shut down that conversation, right? But if you have the power of yes and you say to a person's idea, yeah, I like that, now you've invited them into the conversation, and now you have the ability to kind of mold that idea that they had into something that you know would work, right? So to lead with the idea of yes is actually a much more powerful place to be. Morning. And I would say is really important advice for anybody in any leadership position. You never want to shut down people that work with you. And as soon as you say no as a leader, you shut down, and that person will never come back with another idea. But if you lead with yes, and you give people a sense that you value their ideas, you get a lot more ideas. So I would say lead with that power of yes. And then the other piece is that interesting balance between how do you stay close to people, but also maintain the distinction that you are still the one that has to make the final decision. Right? And that's a very tricky balance, right, to do with students, especially in schools, and with your faculty. Is to make sure, I mean, there's always a fictitious line, because people understand position power, right? But positional power or positional authority never really has any real value in an organization. Any organization run the positional authority is not a thriving organization, right? An organization that runs on reciprocal kind of respect and decision making actually has a lot more power. So that's true of working with students, right? Inviting student dialogue. The amount of things that we have done over the years that actually have been driven by student voice, principals advisory dialogue, and things of those nature, is equal to the same thing of how many things have happened over the years that have come from faculty, right? And faculty ideas. So those would be my words of advice.
Last one, kind of a simple one. What are some of your favorite memories I've had as a principal?
I mean, there's some funny memories of hearing some things that kids have said in classrooms. So there's commentary, there's things that students have said that certainly are funny comments and funny things that have happened. But I would say probably some of the most powerful memories are being at regional championships, going up to those games and watching the celebration afterwards, whether that was football or soccer, whatever, I'm following those teams, watching theater, and seeing the excitement on opening night of our musical performance, right, or the drama. Like that excitement, the things that are most memorable to me are the moments where I see students really engaged in something that they love and they're enjoying it, right? So we've had really great homecoming weeks. not every year have we won, right, the game, but this watching again the excitement of kids at at our pep rally or at their leading up to their game or afterwards after winning the game. So I'd say some of the most memorable moments are actually seeing students actually truly enjoying what they've been doing, right, and getting into it. And that's true. Like even you look at some of the lessons where kids have really been involved, invested in what they've produced. So you look at a successful broadcast. You look at the forensics class solving the murder mystery. Like those things are really rewarding because they're ideas that they're educational. They're teaching students a lot of skills that maybe don't seem right there at the forefront of what you're talking about. But at the end of the day, what they're taking away from it are really important life lessons, right? So those things are probably the most powerful memories that I can think of. And like I said, and then there are some, like I said, there's been some very funny things that have occurred with students, and there's some things that are that resulted in discipline. That at the end of the day, even though you got to discipline a kid, like as adults, you can sit back afterward and say it was pretty hysterical what this kid did or what happened. There's a couple of kids that wanted, as part of the senior prank, to put balloons in the building one year, and so they decided that they would, break into the lobby and put balloons in the lobby. Harmless senior prank, but had somebody climb through a window, which triggered the alarms and brought police to the, it triggered a whole series of things. So, like, you had to come down really hard on these kids, and they were good kids. They just didn't understand like the gravity of their decisions. Like, so those kind of things where you're laughing at the silliness of the prank, but you got to be serious in the moment. But then afterwards, you can sit there like, these kids got police involved. They're also involved because they wanted to put balloons. And then when you looked at the amount of balloons, they thought we were going to fill the lobby. They had 2 garbage bags of balloons, and they thought that was going to fill the lobby. That's the humor of it all. So those kind of things. But
All right.
yeah,
Thank you.
no problem. My pleasure.
Oops, got hotel.
Yeah, see, that perfect timing.
Chocolate chip pancakes, waffle with bacon and sausage.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's for you. Everything else is coming right out. There you go.